Hello and welcome back to another episode about all things geomancy with me, Faye Semple. So firstly, I want to thank everybody who has been liking and subscribing over the last few weeks. But if you could just do one more thing for me, and that would be hit the notifications button. And that way you'll get notified when a new episode is uploaded. That would be great. So today we're going to embark on an enlightening journey into the ancient art and science of geomancy. And we're going to look more about how this profound practice can heal places, transform energies, and really offer a path to spiritual alignment and deeper connection with the earth, not just as a physical being, but also as a consciousness in its own right. So in our fast-paced world, I think you will agree, it's very easy to feel disconnected, to yearn for deeper meaning and purpose. And geomancy is an ancient practice. It's a practice that circumnavigated the ancient world. We're most familiar with it in Feng Shui, which is the Eastern form of Feng Shui, because that's the most complete records that we have. But there is a system that literally all ancient people use. So geomancy offers us this bridge to understanding earth energies and achieving harmony in our lives, because we are part of this energetic ecology in which all things exist. Every plant, every animal, every person, even every planet, every solar system, every cosmos, it all exists in an energetic ecology. And when we nest ourselves in alignment with that energetic ecology, our lives, our projects, everything can prosper. So let's look at how you can integrate these principles really into your daily routine, because it's all very well, isn't it, to say, if we do this, we can live in alignment. But what does that actually look like? What does that look like on the ground? What do we need to do? Because I think, like many people, we can all sit there reading affirmations till we're blue in the face, and we can journal, but we get the sense there is something much deeper, a deeper practice that we've perhaps forgotten. And I would argue that that practice is geomancy, because it is not just based in spiritual knowledge, it's also based in the science of earth energies. It's just we come at it from a more spiritual view than a scientific view. But we're definitely working with the very real forces of the earth, the electromagnetic spectrum. We're working with quantum fields of information, the very energetic blueprint that gives rise to the physical form or the shape that things will take. So geomancy at its core, for those who aren't aware, is a practice of understanding and interpreting really earth energies and cosmic energies and the patterns that we see in the earth, because the earth has this energetic structure. And if you look at like the earth grid developed by Beth Hargens, a lot of the lines of that grid system, which basically form the maths of how a globe would form, a lot of the lines on that correspond to geographical and topographical features of the earth. It corresponds to weather fronts, changes in atmospheric pressure. It's all sits nested within this mathematical grid. So it's all about recognizing our biological link to these earth energies, and they're electromagnetic in nature, but also even things like the quantum nature of crystal fluid water, that that water in our body, that water in the earth, is a mechanism through which we can access this quantum fields of information, all to do with setting up a resonant frequency that we can sit within, that enables us to have these altered states of consciousness. So we know on a basic level, research has shown that being out in nature has a profound effect on our physiology. It can do things like lower our blood pressure, reduce stress, improve our mood, because it alters our neurochemistry. So we know, we have a deep understanding that healthy societies start with a healthy relationship to the land. When we ourselves personally are feeling out of kilter and stressed and fed up with the hustle, that one of the biggest things that makes us feel better and improves our mood and is good for our health is actually getting out there in nature. And that's just the basic level. But geomancy offers a method to go much deeper into our places and spaces where we live, and to recognize when perhaps earth energy and other energies are not perhaps as healthy or vibrant as they could be, to support us in that space. So it's a very active process that brings us into right relationship with our environment. We're having a conversation with the landscape. How do I sit within this landscape? What lessons and challenges is even my little patch, my home, presenting to me? What kind of electromagnetic fields am I existing in? What kind of underground water is under my property? What are the memories that sit within the place for all the things that have been happening in this space before I even came along into my home? So there's lots, just like when we meet someone, they have their own vibe, they have their own field, they have their own, their own memories, their own trauma, their own way of being. Look at your patch on your home in the same way. And again, that sits within a bigger landscape. So not only can we feel a connection, really, I think deeper than we imagine, but this connection can help us to unlock our own innate gifts that we may even be unaware of, because it allows us to blossom. It allows us to uncover parts of ourselves that we didn't know existed. It allows us to fully step into our soul's journey. What did we come here to do? So healing the land heals ourselves. And by healing ourselves, we can actually have a negotiation or a conversation with the land, and it just gets deeper and deeper. We uncover more about ourselves. We do more and more healing practices, and we raise the frequency of the land, and we raise ourselves together. So it's very much a relationship. So what does healing spaces actually involve? We talk about, healing homes, healing the landscape. What does that actually involve? Because we can go and sit and send positive intentions, but how do we know it's made any difference? How can we be sure that we're getting tangible results? And this all comes through the practices that we employ in geomancy. We're not just saying, I've come and sent positive vibes to that area of the land, now all will be well, because there are other people in there. We can't often heal spaces, for other people very well, because that space offers them their own lessons and challenges to observe and absorb from that place and overcome. So we also want to recognize that, I say, we're working with very real forces. We're working with electromagnetic forces. We're working with sound. We're working with plasma coils. These are the scientific terms, and they are scientific. This is a scientific term for what we feel in our body as a vibe, an energy, a flow, because we can't often see these things. So it just gives us, same as, say, when we come into contact with another person that we don't know, we instantly feel their vibe. And this is what we're doing with the landscape. We're feeling its vibe. Where is it happy? Where is it not so happy? So spaces, so we want to make sure that when we're involved in healing spaces, we're doing that in a way that aligns with their natural energies. So this means recognizing and respecting the unique energy of each space and using it in a way that complements its natural tendencies. So if we wanted to pick a spokesperson for an organization, we wouldn't pick the quietest person who is terrified of speaking out loud in public. We would pick the person who has a natural attribute to that. And we're working in spaces with the same way. So when we want, for instance, spaces that have a more active and engaged energy are perfect for productive activities, workspaces, spaces where we want to get things done. We want to create something to get it out there in the world. We want more active, engaged energy. Feng Shui terms, that would be the yang energy, the masculine energy, the going out there and doing stuff energy. So these could, for instance, be your work areas, your kitchen, your home gym, if you have an office at home, all those kind of things. We want these spaces to be filled with a kind of dynamic energy that fuels your productivity and creativity. On the other hand, spaces with a calmer, more introspective energy are ideal for quiet activities. So this might be your meditation corner, retreat centers, your bedroom if you want to sleep well. These spaces we want to imbue with a tranquil energy that can promote relaxation, introspection, deep rest. These would often be the places we would associate more with the yin energy, the internal energy, the nurturing energy. So by aligning our spaces with their natural energies, we can create a more harmonious and balanced environment. So just as we, like I say, we want to gel with people who we get on with, we're looking at our landscape the same. Where's the active part? Where's the more laid back part? And what are we going to do within those spaces? So this not only enhances our interaction with space, so we understand it better, but it also contributes to our overall well-being, because we are in a relationship. Here's space, here's us. We want to make sure we fit like this. So we might think, well, you know, where did this land healing come from? Is it a new concept? As I say, no, land healing is a universal concept. It's found in all cultures across the globe. It's a recognition, as I said, that healthy society begins and ends with a healthy relationship to the land. If we destroy the land and we pillage it, then there is no resources left, and we ourselves will falter. So, you know, Native American cultures, where there were ceremonies and rituals designed to heal the land and maintain this harmonious relationship. In Australia, the Aboriginal people practice caring for country. It's a holistic approach that involves really managing and healing the land. In many Asian cultures, the practice of feng shui is there to harmonize individuals with their surrounding environment. So we recognize that, as I say, that we sit, us and our activities and everything we need to do to support ourselves and our societies, sits within this intangible and an etheric energy ecology. And that energy is what brings everything into form. So we want to work with those energies to give the best chance of our crops being bountiful, our animals being healthy, our activities being successful, our family relationships being healthy. This energy supports all life to sort of germinate, grow, blossom, and harvest. That's what it's there for. So land healing is not just about the land itself. It's about improving the life cycle of all things: plants, animals, humans, and our activities. So if we consider the cycle of life, so you've got conception or germination, you've got growth in the womb or the seed, you've got birthing or emergence from the soil, and all the various phases of life. So you've got growth, blossoming, harvest. Each of those stages has its own lessons and challenges. So for a seed, it's breaking through the soil and reaching the sun, for instance. For an animal, it might be learning to hunt or avoid predators. For humans, it could be overcoming personal obstacles and achieving goals. But we all go through different stages of growth, each with their challenges to move on to the next one. And at the end of the cycle, you know, the seed has become a plant, the animal has survived and possibly reproduced, and human life has lived a full set of experiences. We have trod the path we were meant to tread. We have fulfilled our soul's mission of having the experiences that we decided that we wanted to have when our soul became incarnate. So the lessons and challenges are overcome, and then they're passed on. They're passed on to the next generation. They're passed on to the universal mind, contributing to this collective knowledge and growth of the species. And in this way, then, you know, all living things are a means by which the universe learns more about itself. So through land healing, we can really facilitate this process, because the land is our primary source of life. We come from the land, everything comes from the land. So creating environments that support growth, learning, and harmony is, I would argue, is one of the most powerful forces of spirituality and self-love that there actually is. I think many things are nowadays a kind of, you know, pop spirituality and lack depth. But I think when we get down to geomancy, actually, because it's a spiritual tool, but it's also practical, it involves us really working with the land, understanding where these flows of energy are, and maybe even creating sacred structures on them so that we can manipulate those electromagnetic fields. We can manipulate those sound frequencies. We can create sacred space that carries a resonance with it that enables us to feel that in our neurology, in the liquid crystal that lines our neurons and the fascia in our body, so we can resonate with the same frequency of the earth. That then enables us to have heightened states of consciousness. So it's a very form of organic technology. It's working with what is in the soil already, but doesn't just necessarily involve a sort of sitting passively meditating and then wonder why we're not getting very far. Why hasn't life improved greatly? Because it's almost like a form of wishful thinking. There are many people I'm sure have meditated for years and journaled for years and had crystals sat on their windowsill for years, but life hasn't necessarily improved much because it's only a tiny level. You need to go deep and you need to understand that there is a definite science behind this technology. Do you have to see these fields? No. That's why we use dowsing. We use in Western geomancy, we use a technique called dowsing using pendulums or rods to identify where these flows of energy are in the landscape, these lines or serpent lines, and we actively engage with them, and we can experiment with them by putting different rocks or different materials on them and then douse and get a result. We can test these results in our body, in how we sleep, how we feel, how we concentrate. So we're measuring the results. We're looking at the outcomes. It's not just wishful thinking. I have a problem in this area. I have identified that this thing is wrong. I've identified the solution that it needs, and now I'm going to measure the results to see what the improvement is. If I get the improvement I want, great. If I don't, I need to go back and I need to look at the process and where I've gone wrong until I get it right. So it's not just about going out and going, oh, I've healed the land, doesn't it feel great? No, it's about actively measuring the results we get, seeing what changes in our physiology, in how we sleep, how we deal with food, in our confidence, in our moods, in our blood pressure, anything that we can measure, then we want to be looking at that depending on what the problem is within us. So in this way, you know, when we work with earth energy in this way, all living things, if you like, are a means by, as I say, by the means by which the universe learns more about itself. So we can, healing our land, we are not just improving our sort of environment, we're contributing to the evolution of life itself. We're looking at the energy that is the building blocks of matter, the building blocks of our physical reality. So this is the real power and potential of geomancy, is that we're working with the raw creative energy of how we bring things into being. So of course the next question is, how do we heal the land? And I touched on that a bit about, you know, we've got to identify problems and identify solutions and then apply those solutions and measure the results. That's really what we're doing. So that's healing the land, is that process. It involves assessment, diagnosis and application of healing modalities. And we start really by dowsing to map the energy of a home or a wider landscape. And this allows us to understand the unique energy patterns that are there and identify imbalances. So we map out the energy lines. They might be electromagnetic lines, there might be sound lines, there might be water lines, they could be zones. We look at grids, pockets of energy, underground caverns, fissures, all sorts of things that can change the electromagnetic frequencies or geomagnetic frequencies that we have evolved to live in. And we've evolved to live in sort of stable frequencies, and certain geological features and certain things can throw those basic frequencies out, and therefore we're living in sort of disharmony. So we use dowsing to diagnose those imbalances. What has gone wrong where? What is not supporting us? What means what's affecting me so that I can't sleep, or I feel anxious, or I'm unable to concentrate? Because if those things are impacting us on a daily basis, then our ability to do what we need to get done, to feel how we need to feel, to do the things we need to do, will all be impacted. So once we've diagnosed the imbalances, then we apply various healing modalities. So there are various things that we can work with. Some more physical, working with stone, metal, crystals, and some more gentle. So same as we would use homeopathy on ourselves, we can use sort of homeopathy in the farm and the garden and things like that. So one such modality that we can use, of course, is the biggie, and that is the creation of a landscape temple. So landscape temples can be things like stone circles, standing stones, cairns, chambered cairns, pyramids. There's lots of different structures that we can use to alter the earth energy of a place. And the great thing is that these temples don't have to be huge. You don't have to build one of the pyramids of Giza in your back garden, because I can guarantee it's not going to fit, is it? So, but what we can do, though, we're working to scale. So lots of different size of energy features in the landscape. The biggest temples work with the biggest features. Chances are in your home or garden, you haven't got a massive feature. You'll probably have small ones. So we build to the small scale versions in our homes and our gardens. We build to scale. Now, what we build is built upon the present energies. So specific energies will give rise to a type of temple. So we don't pick, I want to build a stone circle. We build what the energy tells us to build. So certain energies could mean we will build a stone circle. Other energies present are an opportunity to build a cairn or a chambered cairn, for instance. Others provide a location to erect a standing stone. So we can build all these things on a scale to suit our available space, and they are scaled down as we're looking to influence the energy in our homes, not over vast swaths of the landscape. So a large landscape temple, if it's here, has a big zone of influence across the landscape, where we really only have the capacity and the moral obligation or the moral right to change energy in our home and in our boundaries. Because if we alter it, that might prevent my next door neighbour, who has chosen their home because of that energy, because it offers them a lesson or challenge they need to overcome in their lifetime, then they need that energy. So we deal with our own homes and gardens. So obviously, if you have a farm, you can build bigger structures. I built many structures on farms because you want to, do a large area, several thousand acres. So size is important when it comes to sacred structure. Size does matter. So sacred structures and temples, because it affects their zone of impact over the landscape. So landscape temples are there. They don't only heal detrimental energy. So if you've got energy that is detrimental to us, it's creating a space where we're not going to thrive, where animals aren't going to thrive, where plants aren't going to thrive. We need to heal that energy. And sacred landscape temples do that, but they also enhance the land. So if you've got detrimental over here and you've got neutral over here and beneficial over here, then we start with detrimental. A landscape temple will take it to here, it's neutral, supports everything, but it'll also push it into beneficial. It changes it, it makes it better. So they can enhance the land by creating what we call sacred space. And through the form of the temple, the shape that it's taking, a stone circle or a chamber cairn, its mass, its dimensions, we create a sacred space that really allows us access to quantum fields of consciousness, because these structures create a different resonance, a different frequency. It affects the energy differently, and it enables sort of the quantum mechanism with our own mind in terms of the semi-fluid crystal water in our neurology and the geometrical shape of our neurons. It enables those to access quantum fields of information. We create, if the sacred space is doing that and our normal brain waves are doing this, we're not in sync. So it enables us to come into sync with that space. And that's what enables us really to sort of tap in to these quantum fields of information, so we can connect to something more than ourselves. We can get guidance, we can have visions, we can have epiphany moments and aha moments. I don't like the word downloads. It smacks of computers and technology. I think epiphany, insight is really the words I'm looking for. So this is what we can do. We can take what is essentially an area that isn't great, that isn't thriving. We can diagnose it. We can do ordinary healing techniques, or we can put some structure on it, which is going to make it even better than it's ever been. So that's why we create sacred space, because in these quantum fields, when we can access these quantum fields, we can unlock our potential. We can tap into deeper levels of consciousness than we thought we were able to. We can access these insights. We can facilitate personal and spiritual growth. This is the real transformative power of geomancy and healing. It roots us back in these energy ecologies, these kaleidoscopic patterns of energy. If we're just one dot whirling around in that pattern, but we want to be able to step outside the bounds of our own consciousness to see these bigger patterns, to understand what they mean for our lifetime, for the wider society, for the generations to come. These are a way of tapping in. So, all this might sound great, mightn't it? You think, yeah, but what about real world results? What's she talking about when she's talking about we can change it? So I just want to share a story with you from Liz. She's in my Genesis program, it's Genesis, Ancient Geomancy for Contemporary Living. It's a 12-month program that takes people from absolute novices to the whole process of geomancy, so you can instigate it in your home or your yard or your farm, whatever land you've got. The technique is we just apply it over that area. So Liz joined my Genesis program to learn ancient geomancy, and on learning to assess and map the energy in her home, I was able to guide her, and she did a lot of the work herself. I'm just there to sort of guide and help and put on my specs and look at the energy of the place and say that's about right, or turn it a few degrees. But we identified a suitable place to construct a stone cairn. And Liz put an awful lot of work in with help to build a reasonably large stone cairn. And during the building process phenomena, we have pictures of light phenomena, of plasma phenomena. Liz got the sense of these energetic beings all watching her. It was an incredible process where she started to really see how alive and populated the natural world is with other consciousnesses that aren't our own, and how light is a consciousness and reacts to us, and plasma. And, it was a phenomenal experience that Liz was able to feel and observe and get stronger results from as she built it. So now the cairn is in situ, and Liz has been impacted in many ways, physically, mentally, and spiritually. But I'm just going to read to you something that she sent to me herself, so that you can understand the sort of impacts that this is having on it. So she says, since physically and consciously working with the land energies and becoming intimate with the spirit of my place, something deep inside has awoken. I am a changed being. One can see it in my art. This summer, after building the cairn and being a friend to even more energy beings, I don't look at nature with the same eye. It is revealing an inner peace and joy that permeates my soul. I used to be satisfied with making pictures from glass, using what my eyes could see in my mosaics. The last 3 or 4 creations are an explosion of colour and freedom from form. Where is this coming from? I've never taken an art course in my life, but I crave to express something beyond what my eyes perceive. And quite frankly, I am surprising even myself with what I create. To not be limited by the form and colours found in nature. What power is this? I catch glimpses of beautiful geometric shapes in 3D in the landscape. Just glimpses, a tease, but something is trying to reveal itself, tempting me to keep exploring. To what end, I have no idea, but I continue to push myself into the unknown. And I think that's a wonderful thing that she shared, that she'd written from her journal, because it shows you that there is a spiritual and practical element. So she's physically doing something, creating art. And, we've also had conversations how her physical health has improved since building the cairn. But it's also this soul drive to step into her innate talents, her innate gifts that she didn't know that she had. And she started to bring those out to the world. Where this will lead, we don't yet know. It's a new route that is unfolding before her. There's a very similar story to Rick, who was also in my program, who moved to a new house and was very much guided first to build a small stone circle. That was his biggest instruction. He'd actually moved there to write a book, but the spirit of place told him build the stone circle first and the book writing will be easier. And he's now just finished writing his first book. So it's not just about healing the land, this work, as some kind of blank canvas. It's for us to step into that space and become who we were meant to become, because the energy there then supports our goals, our dreams, our activities. So we can make grounded and soul-aligned decisions. We can create thriving gardens. We can boost agricultural projects. We can create healthy homes where we have fulfilling family relationships. This geomancy work underpins our whole life because it is rooted in the earth, the places where we live, the places where we exist, and everything that we came here to do in those spaces as an incarnate person. So I'd like to thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for turning up again this week. It's always a joy to see the comments. Don't forget, as I say, to like and subscribe. So as we explore the sort of wisdom of geomancy, just remember that, you know, aligning with earth energies can lead to a much more harmonious existence. So if you'd like to deepen your understanding of this, I invite you to join me on my free Earth Energy Masterclass from the 24th to the 28th of February. And we can embark on a spiritual path to not only healing, but also your growth. You're going to understand what earth energies are, how to diagnose problems, and how to apply healing techniques within your own space, whether it be your home, your garden, your yard. And that's what we're going to be doing over the course of that workshop. So there's a link in the bio to sign up if you want to put your name on the list to reserve your seats. I look forward to seeing you in there. So I hope you join us and start your journey towards a more connected and purposeful life. See you next time.